Imagine for a moment that you've been using only 1/10 of your smartphone's capacity your entire life. That 90% of its screen, its power, and its features were there, silent, waiting for someone to press the magic button to activate them. Wouldn't you feel like you're wasting enormous potential? Well, that's exactly what millions believe about their own brains. Today, you're going to discover that much of what you take for granted about your mind is, in fact, a deceptive fairy tale. In the next few minutes, you will step through the looking glass of the most popular neuromyths, the ones repeated in classrooms, cafes, and social media, and see the image that science reflects back. Get ready, because what you thought you knew is about to change. Let's start with the king of all myths, the one that has fueled Hollywood movies and promises of mental superpowers, the idea that we only use 10% of our brains. It's a seductive thought, isn't it? To think that inside us there's a hidden reserve of genius, unlimited potential, waiting to be unlocked. But your brain is not a lazy muscle. It is the most expensive organ you have, consuming about 20% of all your body's energy, even when you sleep. It would be biologically absurd for such a resource-demanding organ to keep 90% of itself idle. Brain imaging proves it time and again. There is always activity, a constant buzz of connections. Even the simplest task, like picking up a cup of coffee, involves a complex orchestration of motor, sensory, and coordination areas. There is no reserve lot of neurons, no unexplored land in your skull. You are already using your whole brain, and that is a wonderful thing. This myth leads us straight to another, which tries to divide us into two convenient categories. You've surely heard someone say, "I'm very left-brained, very logical," or "he's right-brained, very creative." It's an attractive narrative, ordering the world into cold analysts and sensitive artists. But your brain is not a civil war. It is a deeply integrated democracy. It's true that some functions, like language, are processed mainly on the left side in most people, while spatial orientation tends to be located more on the right. However, this relative specialization does not translate into a personality type. When you solve a complex math problem, your creative side is active visualizing abstract concepts. When you paint a picture, your logical side works on proportions, perspective, and color mixing. Both hemispheres are in constant, rapid communication via a superhighway of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. You are not a hemisphere. You are the permanent conversation between the two. And if we talk about creativity and intelligence, another myth lurks in nurseries and Spotify playlists: the Mozart Effect. The belief that exposing a baby, or yourself, to classical sonatas will magically increase your IQ. This myth was born from a 1990s study that showed a temporary, very specific improvement on a spatial task after listening to Mozart, an effect that lasted minutes. Commercial exaggeration and parents' desire to give their children a head start did the rest. The science is clear. Listening to classical music does not make you smarter, but don't throw away your headphones yet. Here's the twist. Playing a musical instrument is a completely different story. That act of active learning, coordinating hands, sight, and hearing, reading sheet music, and understanding rhythm, is associated with more robust cognitive benefits, like improvements in memory and executive functions. The power lies not in passive listening, but in the active effort of creating. But our brain is not an infallible learning and memory machine. In fact, one of its most fascinating traits is its fallibility. We believe our memory is like a video camera, filing away perfect, permanent memories that we can play back faithfully. Nothing could be further from the truth. Every time we recall an event, we are not playing back a saved file. We are reconstructing it. And in that reconstruction process, details are lost, others are added, and our current mood, beliefs, and even subsequent conversations can modify the original memory. That's why eyewitness testimony, once considered irrefutable proof, is now viewed with extreme caution in courtrooms. Your past is not a fixed photo album. It is a story you subtly rewrite every time you tell it, even to yourself. This capacity for change and adaptation leads us to another devastating myth, that the adult brain is rigid and incapable of regenerating. You lose neurons, and they're gone forever, it's often said. For decades, this was scientific dogma. Today we know that, although limited, adult neurogenesis exists. The birth of new neurons, especially in the hippocampus, a region crucial for memory and learning. The brain possesses an amazing quality called plasticity, the ability to reorganize its connections, strengthening some and weakening others in response to experience. This means that learning a new language, a skill, or even recovering from an injury is not just a metaphor. It is a real physical process that changes the structure of your brain. You are not condemned by your biology. Your brain is shaped by your life. However, there are substances to which absolute destructive power is wrongly attributed. Think of the typical hangover scene in a comedy. Someone complains that last night killed a bunch of my brain cells. The myth that alcohol kills neurons is persistent. The truth is more nuanced. Chronic, excessive, long-term alcohol abuse can damage the brain, causing neurons and their connections to atrophy and brain tissue to shrink. But a glass of wine does not irreversibly annihilate brain cells. The real danger of alcohol is that it alters the delicate chemical balance in communication between neurons, leading to the cognitive deficits and lack of coordination we associate with drunkenness. The damage comes from abuse, not from occasional, moderate consumption. The brain is resilient, but not invincible. This resilience is tested by another dangerous myth, that severe mental decline is an inevitable and unquestionable part of aging. It is normal that, with age, processing speed slows down a bit. It may take longer to recall a name or find the right word. But forgetting the way home, repeating the same question every 5 minutes, or not recognizing close family members is not just old age. These are signs that require medical attention. In fact, many cognitive abilities, such as vocabulary, comprehension, and emotional regulation, can improve with age. The aging brain can continue to learn, adapt, and form new connections, albeit at a different pace. Blaming aging for serious memory problems can delay the diagnosis of treatable conditions. Your brain deserves the same care as your heart. And to care for it, another attractive myth is often promoted, that exercising the brain with crosswords, sudokus, or brain training apps will keep us mentally young forever. These activities are fun and certainly make you better at solving crosswords and sudokus. But evidence that this specific training translates into a general improvement in intelligence or prevents cognitive decline is weak. If you're looking for the true elixir of brain health, science points to something much more fundamental: regular physical exercise. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, promotes the release of growth factors, and has been associated with a lower risk of cognitive decline. One study even suggested that 30 minutes of daily exercise could significantly reduce the risk of dementia. The best app for your brain is your running shoes. And when you finish that exercise, there's another myth that underestimates what happens next: that sleep is downtime, when the brain shuts off. Nothing could be more active than your brain while you sleep. It is during deep sleep that critical processes occur. Memories from the day are consolidated, transferring information from short to long term. Learning is strengthened. And crucially, the glymphatic system is activated, a kind of cleaning service that removes toxins and metabolic waste that accumulated during wakefulness. Sleep is not a luxury. It is an essential maintenance session for your brain to function the next day. Depriving it of sleep is sabotaging its ability to repair and organize information. Finally, we arrive at a myth that touches the essence of who we think we are. The idea that we have a reptilian inner beast, a primitive, emotional brain constantly fighting our rational, civilized part. This view of a brain divided between emotion and reason, between animal instinct and the civilizing prefrontal cortex is powerful in popular culture. But it is a false narrative. The oldest brain regions, often labeled the reptilian brain, are not the seat of rage or uncontrollable impulses. Their primary function is to regulate the body, breathing, heart rate, metabolism, the immune system. At the same time, these regions are deeply integrated with areas responsible for memory, decision-making, and perception. There is no internal war. There is constant integration. Your emotional part informs your rational part, and vice versa. You are not ruled by a beast. You are run by a complex, unified system that seeks, above all, to keep you alive and thriving. So here we are, on the other side of the looking glass. See, what you thought were immovable limits of your mind were, in many cases, illusions. You do not have a mostly inactive brain. You are not predetermined to be left-brained or right-brained. Your memory is not a faithful recorder, and your potential does not freeze with age. Your brain is something much more dynamic, plastic, and fascinating. It is an organ that builds itself with every experience, that repairs itself while you sleep, and that finds new paths when faced with obstacles. Now, the uncomfortable reflection I promised. If these myths are so persistent despite the evidence, what other beliefs about human psychology, society, or even ourselves are we taking for granted without question? The first step to unleashing the true potential of our minds is to clear them of fictions. If this journey through your own beliefs has made you rethink something, don't keep it to yourself. Conversation is what expands the mind. Leave me a comment telling me which myth surprised you the most or which one you firmly believed. Subscribe if you want to keep breaking paradigms together, because there are many more mysteries to explore on this channel. And share this video with that person who still believes they only use 10% of their brain. Their mind will thank you.